The studio lights beamed down brightly on the set of Loose Women, where the audience buzzed with anticipation for the arrival of the legendary actor Anthony Hopkins. As the theme music faded, the panelists, including the outspoken Denise Welch, settled into their seats, ready for what was supposed to be a light-hearted chat about his latest film and career highlights. Hopkins entered with his signature poise, dressed in a sharp suit, his silver hair neatly combed, and a subtle smile that hinted at his vast experience in Hollywood. The host introduced him warmly, and the applause erupted like thunder. Denise, known for her no-nonsense attitude, leaned forward with a glint in her eye, eager to dive into more personal territory. The conversation started innocently enough, with questions about his iconic roles in films like The Silence of the Lambs, where he portrayed the chilling Hannibal Lecter. Hopkins shared anecdotes from the set, his deep voice resonating through the studio, captivating everyone. But as the discussion progressed, Denise steered it towards his personal life, probing about his past marriages and struggles with alcoholism, topics that Hopkins had addressed in his memoirs but preferred to keep brief in interviews. He answered politely at first, emphasizing his journey to sobriety and the peace he found in painting and composing music in his later years. The audience nodded appreciatively, but Denise wasn't satisfied. She pressed harder, suggesting that his aloof demeanor in public might stem from unresolved issues. Hopkins raised an eyebrow, his expression shifting from amiable to guarded. The tension began to build subtly, like a storm gathering on the horizon. Other panelists tried to lighten the mood with jokes, but Denise doubled down, accusing him of being out of touch with modern societal issues, particularly mental health, which he championed passionately. Hopkins countered calmly, defending his right to privacy and pointing out that not every celebrity needed to bare their soul on daytime TV. The exchange heated up when Denise referenced a controversial statement he allegedly made years ago about feminism, twisting it to imply he was dismissive of women's struggles. The audience gasped, and Hopkins' face hardened. He leaned back in his chair, his hands clasped tightly, as he responded with measured words, reminding her that context mattered and that he had always supported equality in his actions. But Denise interrupted, her voice rising, insisting that his generation of actors often hid behind charm while perpetuating outdated views. The back and forth escalated, with Hopkins calling her approach aggressive and unprofessional, while she fired back that he was being defensive because the truth hurt. The producer in the control room watched nervously as the segment veered off script, signaling to the host to wrap it up. Yet, the sparks flew, and Hopkins, feeling cornered, stood up abruptly, stating that he wouldn't be subjected to such interrogation. The audience murmured in shock as he removed his microphone, his composure cracking just enough to reveal frustration. Denise shouted after him, defending her line of questioning as necessary for honest dialogue. Security hovered nearby, unsure how to intervene in this unexpected drama. As Hopkins walked off the set, the camera panned to the stunt panel, and the show cut to a commercial break hastily. Back in the green room, Hopkins gathered his things, muttering about the lack of respect in modern media. Meanwhile, on air, the panelists discussed the incident, with Denise unapologetic, claiming she was just doing her job. Social media exploded immediately, with hashtags trending about the clash, fans divided between supporting the actor's exit and praising Denise's boldness. News outlets picked up the story, analyzing every word exchanged, turning a routine appearance into a viral sensation. Hopkins later issued a statement through his publicist, expressing disappointment but wishing the show well. Denise, on her part, tweeted about the importance of challenging guests, sparking debates on interview etiquette. The incident became a talking point in entertainment circles, highlighting the fine line between probing journalism and personal attacks. In the days that followed, clips of the exchange amassed millions of views online, with commentators dissecting body language and tone. Some viewed Hopkins as a victim of ambush tactics, while others saw Denise as a hero for holding power to account. The Loose Women producers faced backlash, with calls for better guest vetting and sensitivity training. Yet, ratings soared, proving that controversy sells. Hopkins, undeterred, continued promoting his work elsewhere, his reputation as a class act intact despite the ordeal. This event underscored the evolving dynamics of celebrity interviews in the age of social media scrutiny. where every word can ignite a firestorm. Reflecting on their build-up to the confrontation, it's essential to understand the personalities involved. Anthony Hopkins, at 88 years old, had built a career on intense, transformative performances. From his Oscar-winning roles to his knighthood by Queen Elizabeth II, he was no stranger to tough questions, having navigated scandals and triumphs over decades. Denise Welch, a former actress-turned-presenter, had her own history of resilience, openly discussing her battles with depression and addiction on the show. Loose Women prided itself on raw, unfiltered conversations among women, often delving into taboo subjects. On this particular day, the topic was celebrity mental health, tying into Hopkins' past. The interview began with mutual respect. Hopkins complimented the panel on their candor, but as Denise delved deeper, referencing his 2003 divorce and implying it affected his work, Hopkins bristled. He explained that his art was separate from his personal life, but she persisted, suggesting actors like him romanticized suffering. The audience sensed the shift, their cheers turning to uneasy silence. Other panelists, like Jane Moore and Nadia Sawalha, attempted to mediate, sharing their own stories to diffuse tension. However, Denise's passion overtook, and she accused him of privilege, saying working-class struggles differed from his elite experiences. Hopkins retorted sharply, calling her assumptions classist and uninformed. His Welsh accent thickened with emotion as he defended his humble beginnings in Port Talbot, working in a bakery before fame. The exchange turned personal. Denise brought up his comments on #MeToo, misquoting him to suggest insensitivity. Hopkins corrected her firmly, stating he supported the movement but cautioned against blanket judgments. The studio air thickened with discomfort, producers whispering frantically offstage. When Denise implied his age made him irrelevant to current debates, Hopkins said enough. He stood, declaring the interview over, his eyes flashing with the intensity of his famous characters. As he exited, Denise called out, questioning his inability to handle tough talk. The remaining segment devolved into chaos, with the panel debating the merits of the clash. Post-show, Hopkins' team released footage from his perspective, showing edited questions that seemed more aggressive. Denise defended herself in interviews, saying celebrities must face accountability. The incident sparked broader discussions on ageism in media, with supporters arguing Hopkins deserved respect for his contributions. Online forums lit up with memes and analyses, some photoshopping Hopkins as Lecter facing off against Denise. Television critics weighed in, some praising the authenticity, others decrying it as bullying. Loose Women's viewership spiked, but so did complaints to Ofcom, the UK broadcasting regulator. Hopkins, in a rare follow-up interview, laughed it off, saying he'd faced worse from directors. Yet, the scar remained, a reminder of how quickly civility can crumble on live TV. Denise, undeterred, continued her advocacy, using the buzz to promote mental health awareness. The clash became lore in British TV history, often referenced in compilations of awkward moments. It highlighted the clash between old-school Hollywood mystique and modern tabloid-style probing. In retrospect, perhaps a pre-interview agreement on boundaries could have prevented the explosion, but in the heat of the moment, egos clashed like titans. The audience member who shouted in support of Hopkins became a minor celebrity, interviewed about the atmosphere. Overall, the event served as a cautionary tale for guests and hosts alike, emphasizing mutual respect in the pursuit of entertainment. Delving into the immediate aftermath, the studio erupted in whispers as Anthony Hopkins strode off the set, his footsteps echoing in the sudden hush. Denise Welch sat back, her face flushed with a mix of defiance and surprise, while the other panelists exchanged wide-eyed glances. The host quickly segued to a lighter topic, but the damage was done. Viewers at home flooded social media with reactions. Twitter, now X, trended with #Hopkins walks off and #Denise versus Anthony, polarizing opinions across the globe. Some hailed Hopkins as a gentleman standing his ground against intrusive questioning, while others backed Denise for her fearless journalism. Clips circulated rapidly, edited with dramatic music to amplify the tension. News programs like Good Morning Britain dissected the exchange the next day, inviting experts to analyze communication breakdowns. Hopkins, sequestered in his London hotel, received calls from friends like Jodie Foster, who joked about his Lecter escape. He chose not to fuel the fire immediately, focusing on his upcoming projects. Denise, however, appeared on radio shows, explaining her intent was to foster deep conversation, not confrontation. She admitted that he'd got to her but stood by her questions. The Loose Women team issued a statement apologizing for any discomfort but praising the show's commitment to real talk. Ratings analysis showed a 20% boost, proving the adage that no publicity is bad publicity. Celebrity peers Wade and Russell Crowe tweeted support for Hopkins, calling the interview ambush tactics, while Sharon Osbourne defended Denise's style. The incident inspired satirical sketches on shows like Saturday Night Live, with impersonators exaggerating the drama. Hopkins' publicist crafted a response emphasizing his respect for women in media but decrying personal attacks. Denise's husband, Lincoln Townley, publicly backed her, sharing stories of her own vulnerabilities. Fan theories abounded, some suggesting it was staged for views, though insiders denied it. The exchange prompted articles on the ethics of daytime TV, questioning where entertainment ends and exploitation begins. Hopkins reflected in a later podcast on how fame invites scrutiny but boundaries must exist. Denise used the platform to discuss intergenerational misunderstandings, turning negativity into advocacy. Merchandise even emerged, with t-shirts reading "I survived the Hopkins-Welch clash." Legal experts debated if defamation occurred, but no suits were filed. The event boosted Hopkins' book sales, as curious fans delved into his autobiography. Denise's memoir also saw a surge, her candor resonating with readers. In entertainment panels, the clash was compared to historic walk-offs, like Joan Rivers on The Tonight Show. Psychologists analyzed the body language. Hopkins crossed arms signaling defense, Denise's forward lean indicating aggression. The audience's role was scrutinized, their gasps adding to the spectacle. Ultimately, both emerged unscathed professionally, their profiles elevated. Hopkins continued acting masterclasses, sharing wisdom from his career. Denise hosted charity events for mental health, crediting the incident for sparking conversations. The Loose Women format evolved slightly, with more pre-show briefings. This saga illustrated the volatile mix of celebrity, media, and public opinion in the digital age, where a single exchange can redefine narratives. Months later, Hopkins and Denise crossed paths at an award show, exchanging polite nods, hinting at buried hatchets. Yet, the video remains a staple in most awkward TV moments compilations, a testament to the power of unscripted drama. Exploring the cultural impact, the Anthony Hopkins-Denise Welch incident rippled through pop culture like a shockwave. Memes flooded Instagram, photoshopping Hopkins' face onto escaping movie characters, captioned "When the questions get too real." Denise became a symbol for bold women in media, with fan art depicting her as a warrior. Podcasts dedicated episodes to deconstructing the dialogue, with linguists breaking down interruptions and tone shifts. The clash influenced interview protocols on other shows, with hosts like Oprah reflecting on balance and probing. Hopkins fans organized online petitions for better treatment of elders in entertainment, highlighting ageism. Denise's supporters countered with discussions on accountability for public figures. The event even inspired a fictionalized episode in a British drama series, blurring lines between reality and art. Sales of Hopkins' paintings surged, as admirers sought his serene works amid the chaos. Denise's fashion from the show trended, with viewers emulating her style. Comedy roasts incorporated the story, with stand-ups mimicking the accents and quips. International media covered it, from American tabloids to Australian breakfast shows, translating the British banter. Hopkins addressed it humorously in a Variety interview, quoting Shakespeare on tempests and teapots. Denise wrote a column for The Guardian, advocating for passionate discourse. The Loose Women Anniversary Special revisited the moment, with edited highlights and reflections. Viewer polls showed divided loyalties, but consensus on its entertainment value. Social psychologists studied the viral spread, noting how outrage fuels engagement. Brands capitalized, with tea companies joking about heated exchanges over a cuppa. Hopkins' next film premiere saw questions about the incident, which he deflected gracefully. Denise appeared on celebrity panels, sharing lessons learned. The clash boosted tourism to Wales, Hopkins' homeland, with fans visiting his childhood spots. Documentaries on celebrity meltdowns included the segment, narrated dramatically. Music parodies emerged on YouTube, remixing the audio into songs. The incident underscored gender dynamics in interviews, sparking academic papers. Hopkins donated to mental health charities in Denise's name, a classy gesture. She reciprocated by praising his films on air. Reconciliation rumors swirled when they were spotted at the same event, but no joint statement came. The story evolved into urban legend status, exaggerated in retellings. Younger generations discovered Hopkins through the clip, streaming his classics. Denise's book tour sold out, audiences eager for her side. The producers considered a reunion episode but deemed it too risky. In hindsight, the exchange humanized both, showing vulnerability beneath public personas. It prompted training workshops for TV hosts on escalation. Fan fiction writers crafted alternate endings, from apologies to escalations. The viral video amassed over 50 million views, monetized heavily. Critics argued it exposed the superficiality of daytime TV, while defenders called it authentic. Hopkins' autobiography was reissued with a new foreword referencing the event. Denise launched a podcast on tough conversations. The cultural footprint extended to art installations, commenting on media frenzy. Ultimately, the incident proved that in the entertainment ecosystem, conflict breeds connection, drawing people into shared discourse. Years on, it's remembered as a pivotal moment where Hollywood met high street TV, forever altering perceptions. Analyzing the media frenzy that ensued, headlines blared across tabloids. Hopkins storms off loose women in epic clash. Photographers camped outside studios, hoping for follow-ups. Talk radio lines lit up with callers debating who was right. Hopkins' silence initially fueled speculation, until his eloquent statement quelled rumors. Denise embraced the spotlight, guesting on rival shows to explain her perspective. The clip was dissected on entertainment news like E! and TMZ, with slow-motion replays emphasizing expressions. Social media influencers recreated the scene, gaining followers overnight. The incident inspired think pieces on the decline of civility in broadcasting. Hopkins' peers, like Ian McKellen, offered solidarity in interviews. Denise's loose women colleagues publicly supported her, sharing behind-the-scenes insights. Viewer feedback emails poured in, ranging from outrage to admiration. The show's social channels moderated heated comments, banning trolls. Analytics showed global reach, with spikes in Australia and the US. Parody accounts on X impersonated both, tweeting fictional continuations. Hopkins focused on philanthropy, announcing a new foundation for arts education. Denise amplified her advocacy, partnering with organizations. The Clash was nominated for TV Moment of the Year at awards, though it didn't win. Documentarians approached for rights, but both declined. Fan clubs organized watch parties of the episode. Critics rated the handling, giving mixed reviews. The event boosted streaming of Loose Women archives. Hopkins' music compositions gained streams, his piano pieces soothing amid turmoil. Denise's acting credits resurfaced, with renewed interest in her soap opera days. The producers implemented guest feedback forms post-show. Online courses on conflict resolution reference the incident. Memorable quotes became catchphrases, like Hopkins' "Enough is enough." Denise's retort echoed in debates. The story crossed into politics, with MPs citing it in media regulation talks. Celebrity therapists offered analyses on emotional triggers. The viral effect waned after weeks, but residuals lingered in compilations. Hopkins joked about it in stand-up cameos. Denise wrote a self-help chapter on standing your ground. The audience member's outburst was mummed endlessly. Legal reviews confirmed no breaches, easing tensions. Both saw career upticks. Hopkins in demand for roles, Denise for speaking gigs. The incident humanized daytime TV, showing raw emotions. Reflections and year-end reviews positioned it as a cultural marker. Fan art galleries online celebrated the drama. The Clash inspired theater plays on celebrity encounters. In essence, it transformed a mishap into a milestone, enriching the tapestry of entertainment history.